Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time watching, then welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do this teal and purple, like cool toned coloured look using the Jeffree Star Bloodlust palette. I'm really happy with the way this look turned out. It's unlike anything I've seen before using this palette, and I always love to do things that are a little bit different, so yeah. Here it is. And before we get into today's video, I just wanted to mention a little bit of what has been going on in America. So as you probably all know, there have been protests and riots related to police brutality and, you know, the murder of George Floyd. And over the last few days, myself and a lot of other people have been trying to spread awareness and signing petitions and emailing government representatives trying to bring the killers to justice. And just today I found out that they have increased the murder charge to second-degree murder, and they have also charged the other 3 police officers involved in the incident. But this doesn't mean that it's all over. That's not, you know, the be-all and end-all. There are still plenty of other black people who have been murdered or imprisoned wrongfully for no reason, and their killers still have not been brought to justice. So as I said in my previous video, if you saw it, I'm popping a link down below to a list of petitions you can sign, many of them for other people that aren't George Floyd who still need your help. So please go and check that out, and if you have time, it literally is so quick. You just have to type in a few details and press enter, and it really does make a huge difference. Also, another thing that I'm including in my description is a couple of YouTube videos that you can watch, and the ad revenue is to be donated to, you know, applicable funds and charities who are helping with this whole situation. The riots are still ongoing, people are still being arrested, and they are needing to be bailed out. So the Minnesota Bail Fund has been really helpful for that, and I think we still need to contribute towards the cause. So check those out if you have the time. You can play them in the background. Just make sure you don't skip any ads and have your ad blocker turned off. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on into the tutorial. Okay, so eyebrows, white eyeshadow base, and I've just applied the base in the crease and above because that's the only reason that we're really needing the base at this point. The first thing that I'm going to do is do the crease colors. So I'm taking this dense crease brush. It's not too fluffy, it's not too firm, but it does have a bit of firmness in there so that we can, you know, pack the color on, but it's also going to help keep the edges blended nicely. And I'm going to go in with this shade here called Vile Serpent, and I'm just applying this to the crease and bringing that out in a winged shape in the outer third of the eye. And I'm applying this in small circular motions. As I was saying before, we want to get the colour packed on, but we also want to keep the edges blended out nicely, and this colour can be quite hard to blend, so it is important that you get the first application right because it can be very hard to blend out afterwards. So applying this from the inner corner of the eye up through the crease and out in a winged shape by the tail of the eyebrow. And we're just going to keep applying this until we've built up the colour enough, and also until we've got the edges blended out nicely. Okay, so that is the crease colour down, and it looks pretty blended to me, but I'm not quite sure. Like, sometimes I feel like when you're blending out the crease colour, it can be hard to tell if it's blended enough until you like actually cut the crease. So I'm just going to leave it for now because I don't want to mess around with the colours, because there isn't a pure white in the Bloodlust palette. The white shade in this palette comes out real grey, and when I use it to blend out other colours, it tends to make them look a bit muddy and dirty, so I'm going to try avoid using that for now, and I'm just going to see how it goes. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to prep the eye to cut the crease, and to do that I'm taking some Vaseline and a flat rounded concealer brush. Someone did mention to me that it's like not a good idea to cut the crease with Vaseline because it can like mix with the base and I don't know, do something to it. But I actually find this the best option for me. I was using micellar water, and it occasionally, if you accidentally put too much on the brush, it would spread and get on the eyeshadow that you don't really want to be touching, and making that look funny. And sometimes if I put that on and then the base over top, it would like curdle and like separate, and I haven't found that at all with using the Vaseline. And this was actually recommended by P. Louise, so it works really well with the P. Louise base. So yeah, that is what I'm going to be using today. And so I'm just going to be carving out the crease as I would normally, but this time with the Vaseline. And that's just going to loosen the eyeshadow and the base that we've got on there. And then afterwards we can go in with a cotton tip and just remove the product fully. And I'm bringing this out in a winged shape to follow the eyeshadow that I placed there. And I'm also going to bring this up a tiny bit higher than I normally would, because we're going to need to have enough space to add in the lines of colour that I want to do, so making sure that there's enough room there. And I'm going to do this a couple of times because I like to wipe it away first and then see what else needs to be done, and go over that again just to get it perfect and to make sure that the eyelid is nice and clean. Okay, so that is the eyelid prepped to cut the crease, and we have the shape already laid out for us. So I'm going to be taking my P. Louise base in the shade Rumor 0 and using a flat rounded concealer brush, I'm going to be carving out the crease for real this time. So along where I've already prepped it, and applying this in patting motions so that we're not mixing the colour in with the base, because we want the base to be as white as possible for the next shade that we're going to put on top of that. So we're going from the inner corner out to the outer third in the winged shape, and I'm not bringing this all the way down onto the eyelid. I'm just doing like maybe ½ centimeter thickness, because I'm just going to be adding in a band of colour and not covering the whole eye, because we are going to be carving that out again once we add in the next colour. So we don't want to be wasting the product, and it's just, yeah, a waste of time as well. Okay, so we've got the crease carved out, just the little strip that we've got there. So now I'm going to be setting that, and I'm going to be taking a little mini eyeshadow brush, and I'm going in with this shade here called Deviant, using that to set the white base that we've got on. And I'm using that little brush so that I can get right up close to the edge without, you know, smudging it or getting onto the teal colour. Just packing this on really well so that we can get a nice amount of pigment, so that the whole strip of colour is one colour, nice and opaque. We don't have to set the entire part of the base either, because we don't want it to be too thick, we just want it to be, you know, quite thin. So I'm not going to do the whole white part because we are going to cut that out again afterwards. So yeah. Okay, so we've got the purple down, and you can't really see it too much because it's quite light, but you will once we do the next step. So I'm going to do the same thing, pretty much exactly the same as I did before. So I'm carving out the crease using the P. Louise base and that same brush. I'm not going to bother with the Vaseline for this one because the purple's so light that it's not really going to matter. So carving out the crease in a winged shape and just doing a thin line of the base as we did before, and doing the patting motions to make sure that the colours don't mix too much, but we are using a darker colour on the next stripe. So yeah, it should be okay regardless. And then towards the outer corner where the wing is, I'm just going to use the base to taper off the purple to make it a bit more pointed instead of like a blunt square shaped line. And we're going to leave probably about, I don't know, 3 or 4 millimeters of width on the purple. And now using another mini eyeshadow brush, I'm going to go in with the shade Scandal Water, and I'm just going to do the same thing as I did with the Deviant shade and create a band of that colour across the crease. And we have to be very careful with this because it is darker than the purple, so if we go over the purple using it, it's going to, you know, mess up the purple. You're not going to be able to see it as well. So yeah, just taking care when doing the edges and using the patting motions to really pack that colour on. Okay, so that is the crease done. That took quite a while. It is a little bit of a mission, but sometimes that's just the way it goes. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back in with the Vaseline and that same brush that I was using with the Vaseline, and I'm just going to prep the eyelid again to carve out the crease. I haven't really brought the colour down too far, so I'm just kind of tidying it up just the slightest bit, so we don't really need to go too full on with the Vaseline. Just tidying it up enough to make sure that we can get the base on the eyelid nice and white. Okay, now that we've done that, we can finally go in with the P. Louise base and the same concealer brush and just carve out the crease one more time, and making sure to bring this all the way out to where the wing is. And as usual, while applying the base, just doing this in little tapping motions to keep the colours from mixing, and also I think that it helps to make the layer of the base nice and even across the whole eye. And I'm also going to take this time to apply some of the base to my under eye as well. Okay, so the crease is carved out and I'm trying to keep my eyes shut so I don't transfer any of the colour. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go in with this flat edged concealer brush, and I'm taking that Vile Serpent shade, and I'm just going to use this to draw on a bit of a winged liner coming out into the outer third of the eye, and just stamping this on to get the colour really packed on there. Then I'm going to take a fluffier brush, so just an all over shader brush, and I'm just going to add on a little bit more of that Vile Serpent shade and just use this to buff out the edges of the liner that I've drawn on to create a bit of a smoky liner effect. And then I will be moving to the under eye and putting Vile Serpent there to smoke out the lower lash line. Once we've got this blended out enough, we're going to then set the remainder of the eye using your Majesty, the white shade in the palette, to blend out the edges. Okay, so that is the top of the eyes complete, pretty much. Now I'm just going to go do my face makeup and then I'll be back to finish off the rest of the look. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do is apply highlight. So I'm going to go in with my KVD Vegan Beauty Alchemist Holographic Transformer, and this is in the shade Teal Aquamarine, and I'm using these two brushes, the large fluffy highlighting brush for my face and the small pencil brush for around my eyes. So using the small pencil brush, I'm applying this to my tear duct and my brow bone, and then with the large fluffy highlighting brush, I'm applying this to my cheekbones, the tip of my nose and my cupid's bow. Next I'm going to go in with my MAC Retro Matte Lipwear in the shade Young Attitude, and using an eyeliner brush I'm going to be applying this into my waterline. And for my lips I'm going to be using my Lime Crime Wet Cherry Gloss in the shade Cherry Slime. And now the last thing left to do is just to apply mascara and false eyelashes. So the lashes I'm going to be using are my XO Beauty Foaming Lashes. These are in the style Exotic. I'm going to pop these on off camera and then I'll be back to show you guys the completed look. Okay, so here we have the completed look with lashes. I'm really happy with the way this look turned out. I actually thought of this look while I was laying in bed about to go to sleep. That's pretty much where I always think of my looks. And I ended up doing it a little differently than how I had pictured, but I'm really happy that I did because I love the effect that it has. It's like light, dark, like stripy, which I really like. Yeah, I think the colours complement each other really well. They're all kind of cool toned colours, so they look really effective together. And of course you have to have the huge lashes, in my opinion. I love wearing huge lashes anyway, so huge lashes definitely tie the look together, I think. I really love the Vile Serpent shade from the palette. It can be kind of difficult to work with sometimes, but I think that I found that you can't really use like a small brush to apply it first and then blend it out afterwards. You have to apply it and blend it in the one step, or else it kind of gets set in the first way that you applied it. So I think I definitely had done a better job using the Vile Serpent shade this time. And now I'm thinking of some other looks that I can do using the colours that I haven't yet used in the palette, because I usually, like, most of the time I feel like I'll gravitate towards certain colours and I'll use those the most, and then I kind of struggle to think of ways to use the other colours while also staying within the one palette, because I always like to use just one palette for my looks, most of the time anyway. So yeah, now I'm looking forward to experimenting some more, and hopefully it turns out as good as this, because I really love it. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. If you did, then please thumbs up and subscribe and tick that little bell button so you can get notified every time I post a new video. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.